Hello, welcome to another Parts Factory installation tutorial video. Today we're going to be doing a difficult job. It's a fuel pump in an Audi Q5. Now I've got the link for the product in the bottom of this description, so if you want to see if this video is going to be compatible with your process, check out that link. You'll see the product, you'll know what this video is all about. Right, now this job requires lifting the rear seat out. It requires removal of the battery terminal so that you don't have any sparks that are going to cause any dramas with this whole fuel setup. I would probably say it's going to take about 45 minutes, but as we get the job done, by the end of it I'll know how long it's going to take. Basically we're going to be pulling the pump out, which requires removal of the high pressure fuel lines, etc, etc, the actual power cable itself, which is the dangerous part if you've got any power left in the vehicle, etc. Right, so we're in the back of the Audi Q5. I've already gone ahead and removed this seat, but I'll explain how to do that now. You see these two grey tabs? Basically they hold these pins. Now the seat will be in, obviously like this one and that one, but it will require a bit of force. I started on the left side, I popped it up on the left side, and I grabbed it on the right side and did the same thing on the right side. Now there is a bit of a structural beam through here. I suggest holding onto that beam. Don't try and lift this pad up. Try and hold onto that beam. That way you don't rip the actual fabric off the structure itself. You can throw that out of the way. We're now in here with the seat. Right, so I've gone ahead and got this fine spline Torx bit, and that obviously fits into the 4 bolts on the bottom of this seat. We're going to start with this one just to see how it travels. That nice and easy. And we can stick the screws on the ground just out of the way so we don't lose anything. You got 1 and 2 here. Place them to the side. Pretty sure we'll be able to get to this one. We did get that one. I'd recommend being careful there. We don't want to kind of cross thread the top of the, or not cross thread, burr the top of the bolt. Chuck that bolt out to the side. Now this one down here, I do not think we'll be able to get that with a Torx bit. Can't reach it. So for this one I've gone ahead and got a wobbler on a 3/8 drive socket with an 18mm. I'm going to use this little rattle gun. You should just be able to Right, so we folded the seat with a little lever on the side and it flipped forward, and then it allowed me to kind of put it up out of the way, just leave it like that. We're in here now. You have this plate. It's 3 Phillips head screws, so we'll pull that plate off, put it to the side. So we use a Phillips head screwdriver. 1, 2, and of course the last one is under the carpet, just here. 3 screws on the carpet on the ground, plate out of the way. Right, before we even get started pulling that pump out, we want to disconnect the battery. It's very important. Literally, you know, with this type of thing, we're talking about an explosive canister that you're working on. So let's disconnect the electricity every time, no ifs or buts. So obviously, I believe the battery is underneath this tire here. So we'll pull out this here. Undo this spinny little rod thing. Yeah, but I bet dirty. Yeah, it's okay. Not sure why that's like that, but we'll just pull that out of here. Wow, that's a spare tire. Look at that. So we've got the spare tire out of the way. Move these tools out of the way. Pop this little hatch, and there it is, just there. All you have to do, guys, is remove this negative terminal and place it completely out of the way. Right, so we're going to undo this 10mm. It's pretty straightforward. Okay, now another tip. Got to let the power completely drain out of this system. There might be some lingering electricity there, and that's all we need to start a massive fire. So this red tab goes in this plug, right? And the red tab itself stops the plug from coming off. So if you put a screwdriver in there and pry it out, the red tab comes to the side, and you just pull the plug off. move the plug off to the side. Right, so now we've moved the plug out of the way. The final thing is obviously to pull this high pressure line off. Now, I'll give you fair warning, if the system has primed up in the last 2 or 3 hours, there might be a little bit of pressure there. So even if you want to put a rag there just to cover it up, but of course I can't do that, you won't be able to see what I'm doing. All we're doing, guys, is push in on this little side part, and you can just literally gently slide. Of course, there's nothing we can do about that in our situation, guys, but for you, as you pull it, just put a rag there to capture any of the pressure. Okay. Right, so we're now up to the part where we're going to physically remove the pump, and to do that, you have these little tabs here. There's one over this side you might not be able to see, but essentially we're going to bring the ring around by giving it a bit of a hit. See how that ring just spun around, and at that point our little things popped back in our way, but the ring will actually lift off and move out of the way. Right, one last warning, guys. Of course, metal on metal with a hammer could bring on some sparks. So, you know, I've done this many times. I know exactly how to do it nice and gently, but if you're not used to using a hammer around fuel pumps often, I would suggest using a rubber mallet, maybe even with a rubber kind of little prong. That way there's no sparks possible. Okay, it's now time to lift this pump out, and I suspect it's going to be pretty messy, but we'll find out as we go. Just grab it on the base there. Should be able to just get it to squeeze out of the hole. There we go there. Seems to that. Okay, so to get it through, to get it out of the tank, the top, we should be able to redo this. It comes off like that, and I tipped it to the side, therefore gaining access to this area, and this little orange part was in this pump like that, and you can see it floating there at the bottom. And to pull it through the hole, you have to remove it by pressing those tabs, and I pulled that breather pipe up, and therefore the rest was just able to pop through the hole, and then you just rotate it out of the tank like that. And of course right, so I've gone ahead and grabbed the replacement parts factory equivalent product, and I've just noticed, first things first, guys, you have to grab this little attachment off your car, off your old pump, bring it over to the new one. Now, just for demonstration purposes, I'm going to push it in for now, therefore bringing this pipe over here and placing that. It's just push to play, pops down like that, everything's in place. And now at that point, this one is obviously exactly the same as that one. We're ready to go, and place it back in. We'll take this little blue thing off. Before we waste any time, let's make sure that the plugs on the top of the unit are the same. Yep, which you can see they're exactly the same there, which is very good news. Now guys, before we continue, just a reminder that this product is available on the website. All you got to do is visit www.partsfactoryoz.com.au. I believe the current price is about $158, but don't hold me to that. The link for this product, as I said at the beginning of the video, is going to be in the description of this video. So you can click on that, head over to the page and check out the product. I think Audi, genuine, wants over $600-700 for this product. So you'd be crazy not to head over to our website and check out our prices. Okay, let's stick this back in. Right, so the pump's ready to go back in, but remember, the first things first, we need to get this little breather pipe off. We need to put that down in the hole first. It goes in at the same time as the floaty, just like so, making sure that the high pressure line doesn't get caught up as we drop it in. I'm going to see if I can keep the pump together. That way I've got a bit more control. To do that, I'm just going to hold the top of it, just like the top of that bottom section. As I drop it down, I'm going to feed the wires into the hole. Okay, so at this point, I'm going to put this part back into that little insert, as you guys know about, as I demonstrated before. This will probably be the hardest, most annoying part, because you kind of got to get in there and tuck that hose to the bottom of the tank. What I'll do is I'll rotate it around like this, making sure nothing is snapping or breaking. Yeah, okay, so at this point we're going to get that orange part down to the bottom over there. This orange tab thing, guys, you got to put that in that hole there. Now it's a bit of a kind of frustrating, so I'm a little frustrated at the moment, but should just be able to tuck that little intake hose next to the pump and then grab the orange part and reach it around, and hopefully I can just press it into there, and you should hear a audible click. That'll be the challenge. Yeah, you see, you can hear that click. See that orange? It's now in there, and so at this point I can kind of just hopefully, I want to try and line it all up so as I drop it everything falls together. I don't want it falling apart, I don't think. Yeah, oh no, you can actually still get in there. Okay, so see, can you see anything? Right, so the pump's fallen to the bottom, but as long as you get that orange part in, at that point, guys, that's it. I know it seems a bit bizarre, it's a bizarre setup, but the crazy thing is the measurements are so perfect that that's it. You know what I mean? Like, it just falls in there. It literally falls in. I just realized something. The seal ring has to go around this pump. Fortunately, they're flexible, so we forgot the seal ring. I'm betting on the fact that we can slide it over the top, hopefully. Realistically, it's no easier doing it the other way, so we should be able to just slide it around the top. If we can move that hose. Yep, that was actually extremely easy. I kind of have to see if it's still a torch. Oh,
you gave it to me.
Another thing, when you put that seal on, make sure that it stays, the two rods stay in the bottom housing. It's important. Right, so I've firmly applied pressure whilst making sure the seal stays around the edge of the pump evenly. It's all the way around the edge, so it looks quite nice, and that means that the seal is actually properly serving its purpose, and we can now bring the little ring back. This has been annoying the entire time, just putting it out there. We can bring the ring back, and hopefully if that little pipe pops out of my way, as long as it goes on top, it's okay. Okay, and then it, see a little ring, and at this point we can actually just see how it just pushes down and then spins, and then remember what I said before, you want to be using a little rubber mallet, but I've decided to risk it today. So you want to hit it here like this. Is that right? Yeah. And that will you can see these little niches. I mean, this arrow is pointing. I would say that once the arrow reaches the end of this section here, that's what the required torque specs are, etc. So again, that arrow there. has reached the end of this point, so it's the required torque specs for it to do a proper seal. So we now want to make sure that this seal goes back in. It stops the fuel from getting to the plug itself. To do that, push it back into your black plug, and then you can bring this over and just push it back into that hole like that. We put the plug back in, guys, and we bring our little high pressure hose, and you just gently click that back on. You should hear it audibly click, and at that point your fuel pump is back in the car. Right, so at this point we're going to put our little seal back on. This stops all your vapors from entering the vehicle. So we put all this cap back on, so we'll now bring this seat back forward. Probably have to get in there and manhandle it a bit. Click it back into place and then line it back up, and we'll do the front two first. 1, 2, and then of course the larger grey ones at the back. Now I'm going to do up these ones first, not all the way, almost all the way. It's all good to have it kind of a little tight. I'm going to do this one back here. I'm going to do that one up tight. That's one. Couple clicks. We've got this one at the front now. We can now do this one up tight. Here we go. Same thing there. And of course the final step is that one at the back with the wobbler. Just putting the wobbler through, tightening it up like that, and a good click if it's a small rattle gun. Test to see everything's working. None of the cables are running in or getting under the tracks, etc. The seat belt's not tucked out of the way, and yeah, your seat's back in. Okay, now we'll obviously can bring that little plastic clip back up and can kind of tuck this back in. How the hell does this even go in? This is kind of just gotta wiggle it back in, guys. There's no real way around it. You can see it kind of just presses up in there. There you go, see it pops up in there like that. Just press around and make sure it's all looking good, and then look down under here. Remember those two grey tabs? You should just be able to 1, 2. Yep, that's it. There we go. Right, so it's now time to put our battery clamp back on. Nice and flush, and of course you want to tighten it up a bit so it cannot fall off. There we go. Bring that flat back over. Nothing else goes under there. From memory, it looks like the tools go there. Maybe face that way like that. This little dildo faces straight up into the air. The spare tyre.
The Audi drivers to sit on.
Yeah. That was definitely there like that, wasn't it?
I don't know, you pulled it apart.
Maybe not. Oh.
Who cares? Throw it out the window.
Because how does the tyre go there?
Do you
Let's
understand?
just bring it back. Remember that little cable though? Big dildo.
Oh, you just broke it.
No, it bends. Remember this cable though, you can't forget that cable. Oh yes, so the jack just sits over to the left. Something like that, yeah, like that, that's it, that's the way, and then the tools go underneath so they don't move around. Not sure what this is, but all I know is it says the front's that way, so again, into the little dildo, plug the plug back in, same thing again, this little thing, you want to tighten that up a bit, very OEM, and then of course the cover. which goes this way. Looks like there's some hinges at the back, so find where the hinges go and smack it in, and of course, and I guess it's time for the moment of truth. Now, don't be afraid if it starts up a little rough, it'll have to prime through. Where's the keys for this, buddy? And then, obviously, oh, look at that. Running perfectly. All done. Roughly about a half an hour job. Wasn't as hard as I suspected. Thank God the pump just pops up and pulls out like that. Remember that little orange piece is the part that has to come off before you attempt to pull it up, otherwise it won't come out. Oh, one last thing. When you go to put that seal on, make sure when you're at that point, you can have a quick look in and make sure the fuel level sender is popping up and down and floating on top of the fuel, and that way it gives you an accurate fuel level reading. Okay, so remember, if you are interested in this product, check out the link in the bio. I'll also chuck it at the left hand top of the screen. Alrighty guys, my name's Lucas. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.